Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Manchester United. It is Manchester United's day. They, of course, the Carabao Cup winners for this season, beating Newcastle United by 2-0. Casemiro on the score sheet, as well as a Sven Botman own goal, got Manchester United over the line. They have won their first trophy in 6 years. It is the first trophy in the Erik ten Hag era. It is looking pretty good right now if you're a Manchester United fan. They are the Carabao Cup champions for this season. We're going to be talking about Manchester United. We're going to be talking about the game, Newcastle United, everything else in between, where the both sides go from here, that kind of thing as we go on in this video. But before we go any further, I would like to remind us, please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get talking about this game. Let's get talking about Manchester United because it is their day. And first and foremost, if I can, I'd like to say congratulations to Manchester United on winning this competition. If I am allowed to be a little bit salty, obviously, as a rival fan, as a Liverpool fan, I know what it's like to win this competition because we did so last year. I think if you listen very closely tonight, you might be hearing a lot of United fans celebrating, but also rushing to delete their tweets and other social media posts about how this competition is a Mickey Mouse trophy, how it's small, how Liverpool fans and other fans in the past have embarrassed themselves by celebrating this kind of competition, because I imagine they are feeling pretty good about themselves right now in terms of winning this competition. Right, salty moment over. Let's get real. Let's get neutral on this, shall we say. Let's get proper on this. Let's talk real. Look, perfect performance from Manchester United. Perfect performance from Manchester United. I thought they carried their game plan out to perfection. They neutralised Newcastle where it mattered most. They stopped Newcastle from really creating many chances. Newcastle had a few half chances and things, but really they didn't create enough. They didn't move the ball fast enough to penetrate the lines. They didn't move the ball fast enough to penetrate the middle. They didn't use their wingers much to try and stretch the play at all or anything. They didn't try anything really different, Newcastle, as the game wore on. And it kind of got a bit predictable in the end. And United just had to sit there and remain solid, because whilst Newcastle had a lot of the ball, United moved the ball a lot quicker and were able to counter-attack more, and therefore were able to score more goals. And of course, they were more dangerous when it came to being in the attacking third. Newcastle might look back on this game and think what could have been had they moved the ball quicker, had their decision-making been better in the final third, had they decided to shoot rather than pass rather than shoot, that kind of thing. But for the most part, it was down to United being solid defensively, and Erik ten Hag and the Man United players' in-game management was just on point. It was just on point throughout the entire game, and I've got to give a lot of credit to both sets of people in that situation for playing out such a great game in terms of going 2-0 up and then seeing the game out completely. It was a great performance from United and from Erik ten Hag as well as their manager. And like I say, they win their first trophy in 6 years. They can open that trophy cabinet for the first time in 6 years and put a new one in there and add to their collection. And of course, this is the first trophy in the Erik ten Hag reign, as obviously he started out as a Manchester United manager in the summer and has now got their first trophy. And of course, things can get even better for United as the season goes on. There's still a couple more trophies that may be up for grabs, if of course you are a United fan. If I remember the Toon Army, it's a sad travel back up to Newcastle for them. It was unfortunate. Like I said, I don't think they played particularly great, but I don't think they played particularly bad either. Of course, all eyes were on Loris Karius when the team news came out, obviously with Nick Pope getting sent off against Liverpool last week, and with their second goalkeeper, Martin Dubravka, cup-tied. All eyes were on Loris Karius, who was going to have to fill the gloves of Nick Pope in this game, his debut for Newcastle of all games. And of course, we all remember that notorious Champions League final 5 years ago that he played in with Liverpool. So all eyes were on him, but I don't think he really did anything wrong. I don't really think he put a glove or a foot wrong in this game. You can be a little bit critical and say maybe the second goal he could have done a little bit better with, but I think that's a bit nitpicking, to be honest. He didn't really do anything wrong. I think he was pretty solid, but unfortunately there was going to be no redemption arc for him. as far as as far as the rest of the Newcastle players go, like I say, it just got a bit predictable in the attacking third. I thought defensively they were pretty solid. They obviously dropped off a key point in that first half that allowed United to hit a quick fire double on them, the first goal and then the second goal. But I thought they were pretty solid for most of the game. Midfield was good. It looks more solid and much more well-rounded, obviously, with Bruno Guimaraes being back in there. And I thought Guimaraes, by the way, had a great game. I thought it was a bit unfortunate for him to be on the receiving end or the wrong end of this particular scoreline and obviously not go home with a winner's medal. But, you know, he looked pretty decent. And if anything good was to happen from Newcastle in terms of that midfield area going forward and attacking, it did look like it was going to come from him, but he just didn't seem to have the space or the time to sort of pick a pass or the movement ahead of him to pick a pass and really hurt that United back line. And Alan Saint-Maximin, look, he looked dangerous, he looked alive, he looked... like usual, he looked electric. Like usual, every time he got the ball, he looked like he was trying to make something happen. He was going to go inside and then outside or whatever, and you know, looked like he was trying to really make something happen. But again, his end product let him down, and it's something that a lot of people talk about when they talk about Saint-Maximin. They say he's got a lot of tools in his arsenal to make him a great winger. But it's his end product that lets him down constantly and consistently. It's not consistent enough and it needs to obviously improve. And today he just had one of them games where his end product was just nowhere to be seen, unfortunately for him. Callum Wilson didn't have a sniff all game. Alexander Isaac didn't really have a sniff either when he came on in the second half. And I think a large part of that was down to the United defence. I thought Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane in the centre of that, or the heart of that United defence was solid throughout the entirety of the game. Luke Shaw obviously gets the assist for his goal, but he was pretty solid as well. I thought the change in the second half to bring Wan-Bissaka on for Diego Dallo was smart, seeing as though Dallo was already on a yellow card and obviously could be a target for Saint-Maximin for Newcastle. But having Wan-Bissaka there definitely covered for Saint-Maximin, and obviously having Casemiro to help him out, because Casemiro's here, there and everywhere. He's had a phenomenal season, by the way, and obviously capped it off with his goal. Like, he's scored another goal. I don't think a lot of people had him down as a bit of a goal scorer, but he scored another goal in the United shirt, a big goal at that, and he was exceptional. Like I say, he was here, there and everywhere in that game, and obviously at a time where Newcastle was starting to just get a little bit more adventurous going forward, shall we say. He obviously pops up with a goal, a great well-taken header from a great Luke Shaw delivery, by the way. And, you know, like most experienced midfielders or most experienced players in general, he was great in terms of settling down the players, getting that opening goal, drawing first blood in this, and then going on to lead by example from the centre of midfield and lead his team, obviously, through the game, lead everyone around him, position, orchestrate, whatever word you want to use to guide this team across the finish line. That is what Casemiro did, and he's been exceptional. And, you know, there are a lot of people that might not be great and might be looking at it as in terms of, well, don't look good in terms of what they said about him in the past, and myself possibly included in that, in terms of he's only come here for the money, he's only gone to United to kind of see out the rest of his career. Why would he leave Real Madrid in search of a United side that are in redevelopment, regrowth, resurrection, whatever you want to call it, a rebuild? Proving a lot of people wrong. He's had a phenomenal season so far, and it could get even better. He's possibly one of the, if not the signing of this season. So again, him leading by example was on show yet again, and of course, like I say, that was just the defensive side of United. The attacking side of United posed threats constantly. Weghorst's work rate, as well as his target man approach, obviously helped the other players around him. I thought Bruno Fernandes, despite the fact he was a bit more quiet than usual, obviously had plenty. He had plenty of his passing game was pretty good at times. Rashford, sharp, looked dangerous at times. Not probably his most influential game as far as Rashford's concerned, but still pretty good. in general. And of course, he does obviously make that second goal. He'll be a bit annoyed that that goal wasn't credited to him and was given obviously to Sven Botman's own goal. But again, he made it all kind of happen. And although he'll be a bit annoyed that the goal wasn't credited to him, the winner's medal will of course make up for that. And then, of course, on the right-hand side, Anthony. Tricky player. We know that he likes to hold the ball up, show off his tricks and whatever. He's got quick feet. They were on display again, and he posed some danger to Newcastle. But again, I don't really think Newcastle were that much in danger, as in terms of they just lacked going forward. United took their chances when they fell to them, and Newcastle just were a bit predictable as the game wore on. They didn't really try anything different, and United's game plan was solid right the way throughout. It was well drilled in, well disciplined, and they carried it out to perfection throughout the course of the 90 minutes. Where did both teams go from here? Well, for Newcastle, look, they've overachieved this season so far. They've overachieved in terms of their league performance and, of course, getting to a final here. So there's you'd say that this is a learning experience for them, a learning curve for them as they continue to grow and continue to expand. Bit of concern though that they didn't score. Bit of a concern though that their attacking play once again didn't exactly have a cutting edge to it or a real penetration to it. You've seen in the past few games when it comes to Newcastle that they've struggled to score. And I think that might be something that might let them down towards the end of this season. Of course, there is still a lot of room to grow and to evolve this squad and everything. But for some reason, the goals have just dried up a little bit. Gramaraj being back is a massive bonus and a boost for them, obviously. But in terms of goal scoring, it's something just to be a little bit concerned about going forward. But as for them, it's a sad day, obviously, for the travelling Toon Army. But they did travel in their numbers, and they did look, and it did look great, the atmosphere, and it did look great where they were. So, fair play to Newcastle. But of course, this is Manchester United's day, and at the end of the day, they do go home with the trophy, another trophy to add to their collection. Like I said, their first trophy in 6 years, and it's really a platform. And I say a platform with a bit of a question mark by it because we saw Jose Mourinho get to this stage, and I don't think he had the kind of influence and the kind of challenges that were presented to him at his time there, in comparison to wait, let me rephrase that. Obviously, platform for Ten Hag to build upon, but we saw this with Jose Mourinho before. We saw Jose Mourinho come in and win a couple of trophies, and it looked like they were on this upwards trajectory of getting back to where United wanted to be. And the question there was, could that be sustainable? It's again another question of sustainability. We now know that this team can win trophies. However fortunate or whatever it may be, this team has now got something to build upon. They've got a Carabao Cup to build upon. Whether you think it's a Mickey Mouse trophy or a small tin pot trophy or whatever you want to call it, it is still a trophy. It's still a big trophy. It's still one of the domestic trophies in English football, whatever you want to call it. United now have got that. That instills and inbreeds a winning mentality and can start with that. It's whether or not now it's sustainable. We saw Jose Mourinho get there with it. Solskjaer came close. He got to a few semi-finals, got to a final Europa League, didn't quite do it. We saw Louis van Gaal even get to an FA Cup final. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for those two. There has to be obviously an upwards trajectory. There has to be show of growth and evolution constantly, and signs that there is constant improvement going forward that obviously Ten Hag can install on this team. And obviously that can happen. Obviously, the season's not even over yet. And like I say, United could still get a couple more trophies by the end of the campaign. They've still got the Europa League that they're going strong in. They've just beat Barcelona. They're probably one of the favourites to go on and win that. They've still got the FA Cup going on. There's a possibility of maybe a title race if obviously there's a bit of a collapse going on with Arsenal and City continue to stutter a little bit here and there. I don't think that maybe, but it's still within the question because until it's mathematically impossible, anything in my opinion is possible. As much as I hate it, but yeah, there's a an injection of belief. There's even more of an injection of belief if there wasn't so already. There's an injection of a winning mentality, a boost of that. And like I say, I've said it before, United are well ahead of schedule in terms of where I thought and where a lot of people thought they'd be under Erik ten Hag at this point. Many people thought they'd be challenging for top four, but they seem to be well within that top four sphere now. They seem to... It's obviously not nailed down again until it's mathematically impossible for them to get out of it, but at the same time, they are well within that and are probably ahead of where a lot of people thought they'd be at this stage of the season. They've already won a trophy at this stage of the season, which again, I don't think a lot of people would have had them down to win. So there's a lot to look forward to if obviously United... There's obviously the ownership issues and everything else going on behind the scenes and off the pitch that are still got to be sorted out. But everything seems to be on the upwards for them, unfortunately. Everything seems to be on the up as far as Manchester United are concerned. And obviously if the ownership thing can be taken care of and... Ten Hag can then be backed by someone who's gonna give him the freedom and the funds to do whatever the hell he wants and whatever the hell he likes with this kind of club. It could be very scary to see the kind of stature and the strength that United can go to going forward. But this is a great start. This is a great start for Manchester United. Obviously, Carabao Cup winners, congratulations to them once again. And of course, like I say, this season could get even better as far as Manchester United are concerned. And even better in terms of things off the pitch as well. And like I say, it's well ahead of schedule, I guess you'd say so far in terms of if you were to put together some sort of plan in terms of the first few years of Erik ten Hag's reign. But so far, he's proven to be incredible. He's proven to be outstanding. In terms of what he has produced so far, and it was another great performance, I guess you'd say, from him and his players on this day in which United beat Newcastle by 2-0 thanks to goals from Casemiro and an own goal from Sven Botman to win them the Carabao Cup for the 2022-23 season. And that's, like I always say, just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this, that Manchester United have won the Carabao Cup, their first trophy in 6 years, the first trophy in the Erik ten Hag reign? What did you make of the game? What did you make of everything else that goes along with it? What did you make of United winning? What did you make of Newcastle losing? All of that stuff. I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, down below in the comment section. Be sure it'll make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I'll see you all again soon in another video.